That was to help Billy, Stu.
Billy beer?
That was to help Billy.
Well, it didn't, but
No, you're right.
but it's important to know what he did on inflation, because this clearly was an Achilles heel, and there's no way around it. We had double-digit inflation, we had double-digit interest rates, but that came largely because of the second oil shock in the 1970s. President Nixon also had double-digit inflation. So how did we deal with inflation? First of all, the president genuinely was one of the first people in the White House to recognize that this was our #1 problem. He gave a national television speech in 1978 saying this was our #1 problem. Number two, we had two anti-inflation czars. We had wage and price guidelines. We had a labor management advisory report. None of them worked, including a very low budget deficit. And I really want to drive this home. He was a fiscal conservative. Our budget deficits were 2.6% of GDP, much lower than Reagan's, and God knows much lower than today. So that didn't help either. But here's what did. July 1979, inflation is raging. He tried all these other things and nothing worked. And he said, I'm not going to let inflation be my legacy to the American people. And over the objection, and I assure you, I'm not exaggerating, of every one of his advisors, he decided to appoint Paul Volcker to head the Federal Reserve, knowing in advance, because Paul told him in the Oval Office he was going to choke inflation out of the system by high interest rates. And he said, Mr. President, this is going to mean in your re-election year, you're going to have a very difficult economy. We won't have whipped inflation yet. We're going to have potentially higher unemployment. And the president said, Paul, you take care of the economy, I'll take care of the politics. And in fact, as we all know, Volcker succeeded, wildly exceeded anybody's expectations. Inflation dropped like a rock, but only after Carter's defeat in Reagan's first 2 years. And ever since, it's been there. So he really, even there, put in place something that we've lived with in a major way, that is lower inflation. He wasn't the beneficiary of it, but he created the foundation of it. And that plus deregulation, and deregulation, I mean, of energy as well as major sectors of the economy, really was a positive economic legacy, but it didn't occur in time to benefit him for his reelection.
And he pushed back